Welcome to Peace and Pixels, the podcast where we navigate the complex, beautiful, and sometimes overwhelming world of mental wellness for digital artists and creatives. I'm your host, Esther Michael. Today we're pulling back the curtain on an experience that every artist has had: the feeling of not being good enough, that nagging voice, the one that whispers, "You're not a real artist. You're less than. Your work is not good enough." We're talking about the imposter syndrome. You felt it. I've felt it. Every single artist I've spoken to has felt it. From the students just starting out to the freelancers who just landed their first dream gig to creative directors with decades of experience. It's a universal experience in the creative world, but one we so rarely talk about. Today, we're not just naming it, we're breaking it down and then building a toolkit to overcome it. The term imposter phenomenon was first described in 1978 by psychologists Dr. Pauline Clance and Dr. Suzanne Imes. Their first initial research focused on high achieving women who, despite overwhelming evidence of their success, still felt like intellectually not enough. Fast forward to the present, and the phenomenon is still recognized as affecting nearly 70% of people across all genders and industries at some point in their lives. But for us as creatives, the numbers are even higher because our work is objective. It's not a spreadsheet with a right or wrong answer. It's an emotional expression, a technical skill, a visual story, and we put it out into a world that is now designed to compare and contrast us. Think about it. Before the internet, the artists you looked up to were likely in a different city or a different country, and you saw their finished works in magazines or in galleries with no access to their work in progress or their daily struggles. Today, platforms like Instagram, ArtStation, Behance, and even TikTok has turned our journey into a public performance. The endless scroll isn't just content, it's a constant, silent judgment. You're not just creating in a vacuum, you're creating in a global arena where your new piece of art is stacked up against 1,000 others, and your followers, or lack of, feels like a direct reflection of your worth. This constant comparison isn't just mentally taxing, it's literally changing our brains. When you feel that urge to self doubt, that voice saying you're not good enough, it's not just a passing thought. It's a cascade of chemical reactions. That feeling of being an imposter activates your brain's default mode network, DMN. The DMN is part of your brain that's active when you're not focused on the outside world. It's responsible for self reflection, daydreaming, and you guessed it, negative rumination. A 2022 study at Stanford University found that when we feel like imposters, this network goes into overdrive, hijacking our focus and making it incredibly difficult to concentrate on the task at hand. It's as if a part of your brain is shouting, "Worry, compare, doubt," while the creative part is just simply trying to work. At the same time, this stress triggers the release of cortisol, the primary stress hormone. High levels of cortisol has been directly linked by the American Psychological Association to reduce cognitive function, which means it becomes harder to problem solve, be flexible in your thinking, and access your most creative ideas. So here's the ironic, heartbreaking truth. The very fear of not being good enough makes it harder to produce your best work. You get caught up in a vicious cycle where you feel less than, which makes it harder to create, which then reinforces the feeling that you are less than. This cycle is a primary driver of creative burnout. A 2021 study in the Journal of Anxiety Disorders found that creative professionals with high levels of imposter feelings were significantly more likely to experience burnout, anxiety, and depression. We're not just battling a feeling, we're battling a biological response that can actively undermine our well being and our careers. There is good news. This isn't a life sentence. Imposter syndrome thrives in silence. By bringing it into the light, we can begin to dismantle it. Here are some strategies that are not just theoretical, but have been shown in cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness studies to be highly effective. 1. The power of evidence. Journal your progress. Instead of only having to do lists, start a done list. At the end of each day or week, write down every single thing you accomplished, no matter how small. Did you finish a sketch? Did you learn a new brush in Procreate? Did you simply sit down and practice for 15 minutes? These are all victories. This simple act trains your brain to look for evidence of growth, not just your perceived failures. It counters that DMN rumination by giving it something concrete and positive to latch onto. 2. Find your people. Don't wait for the internet to validate you. You need a trusted circle of friends. Don't wait for the internet to validate you. You need a trusted circle of friends. Not a huge online group, but a small selected group of 2 or 3 fellow artists you can share your work with before it goes public. This isn't about praise, it's about genuine constructive feedback. Share your struggles, your victories, and your drafts. When another artist says, "Hey, I struggled with that too," it instantly humanizes the process and makes you feel less alone. It's an antidote to the isolation that imposter syndrome loves. 3. Redefine mastery, the difference between competence and perfection. This is perhaps the most important shift you can make. Imposter syndrome tells you that you are only a real artist when you reach some mythical perfect level of mastery. But that's a lie. In his book Atomic Habits, James Clear writes about the difference between being a beginner and a master. A beginner's process is erratic. They start and then they stop. A master's process is consistent. The goal isn't to be a perfect artist. The goal is to be an artist who shows up, who does the work, and who continuously learns. You're competent the moment you can create and contribute, not when you achieve some flawless, perfect state. The artists you admire most aren't perfect. They're simply artists who have learned to live with the doubts and keep creating anyway. So, if you're listening to this and you're feeling the familiar weight on your shoulder, know this: you're not alone. That voice you hear is just a part of human experience amplified by digital world we live in. Imposter syndrome thrives in silence, but when we start to name it, to share our experiences, and actively reframe our relationship with it, we begin to loosen its grip. You are not behind. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, on your path, learning and growing with every single pixel. Thanks for tuning into Peace and Pixels. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another creative who might need to hear it. And don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, please take care of your mind and your art. Bye.